Let me go back to an earlier rock and roll session I had with some leaders of the city of Lincoln back in 2008. Many of those leaders are sitting around in this room today. They came in to see me with what most people would probably have considered to be a crazy, improbable dream. They wanted to build a $170 million arena to replace Pershing Center. And they wanted to do it by imposing new taxes during the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression, in a floodplain that had environmental problems at that. And on top of that, tens of millions of dollars of railroad tracks that would have to be relocated. And I was thinking, thanks, guys. In short, we were being asked to orchestrate the biggest Lincoln development project in all time in a very challenging setting. It was the first major test of my new administration, and I pondered hard where to go with this. In doing that, I was taken back to a very early time in my life. When I was in college, a young president issued a clarion call that rang out across the land. The way it rang out is almost not understandable today. John Kennedy challenged the American people generally, and youth in particular. Ask not what your country can do for you, he said. Ask what you can do for your country. Those immortal words dared an entire generation of young people to think beyond their individual ambitions and to embrace and advance the shared values of the nation. No longer would advancing liberty and justice and prosperity be the aspirations of just a few. Going forward, every single American would do the work of creating a more perfect society. I was one of the hundreds of thousands of young Americans who answered the president's call in different ways. I entered the newly created Peace Corps and immersed myself in promoting the values of American democracy alongside the community leaders in a place called Konya, Turkey. I clearly remember my trepidation being asked to bear what was for me a new responsibility of representing our country's values and also responding to the needs of the host country, the need to change. A lot was at stake. Similarly, a lot was at stake in Lincoln when I first took office. We were losing our young people to other cities at an alarming rate. The energy and dynamic quality of our city that is so evident today and that you all feel was in short supply. We were at a crossroads, and our choice was growth or the stagnation of the status quo. The arena represented an opportunity to reverse these trends, bringing economic and cultural renaissance, attracting hundreds of millions of dollars in private sector investment, creating jobs, and keeping more of our young talent at home. But again, the proposal was not without risk. The arena would require considerable tax support. New taxes are never popular, and supporting a major tax initiative could jeopardize the rest of the programs that we saw and wanted to accomplish and promised to accomplish in the future. It might divide Lincoln at a time when we needed unity to navigate the uncharted future. As I faced my first major challenge as mayor, I thought hard on those days in the Peace Corps and the lessons of overseas. Change is often resisted, but often necessary. Somebody once said that the status quo dies hard, in large part because fear is its greatest ally. Fear is the enemy of change, the thief of ambition, the champion of the half swing, of the almost is good enough. If you govern from fear, the political safe spot becomes what's right, and what's best for the community is often lost or long delayed. Progress is the province of the bold. Our city needed change and strong leadership to usher it in. But as I also learned in the Peace Corps, leadership is not a solo sport. We are always stronger when we build consensus and the vision becomes broadly shared. Instead of unilaterally passing the bonds in the crisis we face, in choosing a direction of the new arena, the City Council and I decided to put the issue on the ballot and trust the people to make this major decision regarding their future. We all know how the chapter ends. The Pinnacle Bank Arena is an amazing success story. The arena in the West Haymarket has also given us a community blueprint for progress, a set of practices that push Lincoln forward, being bold, exploring the new, embracing challenges and risks, working together to educate and mobilize the community, taking action and making it happen. And because of that blueprint, the state of our city in 2017 is stronger than ever. Over the last decade, we have witnessed prosperity unparalleled in Lincoln's history. Over $2 billion in public and private investment, consistently one of the lowest unemployment rates in the nation, top national rankings for both our economy and our quality of life. The results affirm that our blueprint for progress is working. And I'd like to spend a few minutes with you today talking about how we use our blueprint for progress to implement 4 key ideas that will drive Lincoln forward. Economic investment, 21st century education, innovation, and world-class infrastructure. Let's start with economic investment. Most big projects require both private and public investment. Wise use of the city's economic investment tools is paying big dividends for Lincoln. The city recently partnered with Shields to help finance an $80 million expansion to attract regional retail trade. A group of local businesses is proposing 2 hotels and associated development at 9th and O Street. The $70 million project will represent the single largest private investment in a building in Lincoln's history. But that record is not going to last long. The record will be short-lived. The City Center project at the current Journal-Star building site will be a $90 million project after developers have hammered out the details. The message from these and dozens of other private-public partnerships is simple. It's the private sector risk takers and dreamers who make growth happen. When we have the public tools to support them, Lincoln wins. 21st century economic growth and prosperity does not happen without a 21st century education. We must continue to partner with LPS and UNL and SCC and Rising Wesleyan and all of the other educational institutions that maintain and enhance Lincoln's key growth advantage, which is simply knowledge. Our partnership with Lincoln Public Schools are great examples. Almost all LPS students now have Chromebooks, and the city is helping with internet access. Any student can visit any of our 8 libraries and work on assignments using the library's high-speed wireless network. Soon, fiber nodes at traffic lights will bring free wireless internet to LPS students where they live. Our collaboration with LPS and other organizations on the Community Learning Centers initiative is offering our children high-quality learning opportunities in our schools during non-school hours. CLCs are becoming a critical part of keeping our neighborhoods strong and developing our future workforce. Most of all, they help bring disadvantaged children into the circle of prosperity. And that's really important. Don't we have to do that? UNL's Innovation Campus is an incubator for entrepreneurs to develop exciting new businesses, which often then later join a thriving new startup community centered in the West Haymarket. Their success has earned Lincoln a growing reputation as the hub of the Silicon Valley, the Silicon Prairie, and driven economic growth and diversity. Thriving communities also support lifelong learning. Every Lincoln resident, people from all walks of life, should have access to new technologies that keep our workforce on the cutting edge. That's why I'm working closely with the Library Board to develop a workable proposal for both the new downtown Central Library and the neighborhood branch library improvements. I look forward to a community-wide discussion on why it is important as we plan for the future. Economic development, economic investment, a 21st century education are groundwork for the third idea for continued success. Innovation opportunities, seizing on to innovation opportunities that drive the community forward. Our commitment to fiber infrastructure, for example, is creating prospects we could not have imagined only 5 years ago. A day will arrive in the not too distant future when smart traffic technologies will guide you to the fastest route, helping you avoid traffic accidents and backups. You will park your electric powered car in a city parking garage and plug it in to recharge while you hop onto a driverless downtown shuttle. You'll find free wireless internet at multiple locations throughout the community. After an initial investment of $700,000 from the city's Fast Forward Fund, the Lincoln Broadband Project has already partnered with 8 private telecommunication providers to improve access and competition to next generation broadband and wireless infrastructure. Our investment has paid off. 10 new companies have opened offices in Lincoln. 400 new jobs have been created with over $20 million in new annual salaries. $250 million has been invested in private broadband infrastructure over the past 2 years. As a result, Lincoln is recognized as a national leader in public-private broadband infrastructure deployment. Bold ideas like the Lincoln Broadband Project return exponential returns, benefits to our citizens, and inspires our citizens to build more and to dream more and to invest in their fellow citizens. Technology offers exciting glimpses of the future, but you know what? Streets, sewer, water, sidewalks, and trails are still the primary drivers of growth. And that brings us to the fourth idea: consistent and adequate investment to build the bread and butter infrastructures. These are still vital and will always be vital to our future economic prospects. The data is clear. The city has increased spending on streets by 58% since 2010, helping to ignite the private sector investment boom that has made the economy, our economy, the envy of many across the nation. Northwest 48th Street has been transformed from a narrow county road into a modern 4-lane street capable of supporting the industrial development potential of Lincoln's airport and industrial park. The distant dream of the South Beltway is now a reality. The city and the county and the state partnered on a solution to get the job done while reducing the city's 20% match by $10 million. The potential for the same kind of economic boost exists in Northeast Lincoln, where the proposed North Lincoln Exchange will transform the 33rd and Cornhusker area. The project will help reduce traffic gridlock, open new land to business development in that area of town. Investment in roads like 98th Street, Rokeby Road, Pine Lake East, the proposed East Beltway, and other city streets will enhance the overall quality of life and stimulate, again, economic growth in East Lincoln. All good news, to be sure, but more needs to be done. Several large economic development projects are slowed, for example, because we do not have city funds needed to improve Rokeby Road, slowing development that will create more good-paying construction jobs and more needed homes, and expanding our tax base. Our spending per mile lane on street maintenance, repair, and construction is 25%, still 25% below the average spent by our peer cities. The lesson is clear. We miss critical opportunities when we don't adequately fund our roads budget. That's why our administration is partnering with the Chamber of Commerce on the Lincoln Citizens Transportation Coalition. 27 community leaders and elected officials are reviewing our street program to make recommendations for action. The coalition will identify strategies to advance our roads program over the next 20 years. It's a great group of people, and I'm confident that they will find us the best answers for our community. Let me reiterate that the last decade has been a time of historic change in Lincoln. The blueprint for progress has been the common thread to our successes, and we will continue to use it to drive those 4 ideas that are key to building our future. Again, economic investment, 21st century education, innovation, and world-class infrastructure. I don't know who that was at the back of the room, but that was real leadership. At the end of the day, a blueprint for progress is only as good as the community that steps forward and accepts responsibility for creating change. Over the last decade, we have rediscovered that we have limitless possibilities when we come together and focus our talent and energy on a vision for the future. Interestingly, the spelling of the word community includes the word unity. Pinnacle Bank Arena represents so much more to me than simply an entertainment venue. It's a shining beacon of what we can accomplish when leadership and passion and purpose converge. It gave us the confidence to take on new and bigger challenges in our quest to become a world-class city. It taught us that when we work together, there are no obstacles too big to overcome and no boundaries to our collective imagination. We have become the community that perhaps the author George Bernard Shaw had in mind when he wrote, "We dream things that never were and ask, why not?" Because we have dared to ask why not as a community, I can report to you that the state of our great city has never been better. Our economy is strong, our quality of life is high. Lincoln has indeed become a world-class city that can compete with anyone, anywhere, anytime. Thank you very much.